بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على رسول المصطفى وعلى عباده الذين ارتضى ومن بهداهم اهتدى وبآثار أهل المدينة اقتفى وبعد فالسلام الله عليكم ورحمته تعالى وشكرا. Barakallahu feekum for giving me this opportunity to share some thoughts with you. It's also an experience, it's always a good and pleasant experience for me as well to see what the up and coming talent of Birmingham, or I suppose the UK, wherever you guys are from, holds, or the queries that you may have, or just the thoughts that are going on inside your mind. I've been asked to share some notes on surviving university. The title, I don't know if it's not up there, but I was told the University Survival Guide or something along these lines. Now, that's an interesting title. The things I will discuss with you today, some of them may be in some way challenging to the concepts that you already hold. Some of them may be complementary. What I ask you to do is, as the ruling that we are taught within Islam, al-hukma ala shay' far'un an tasawwurihi, that to pass judgment on something you should first of all at least have a true understanding of it. You understand? Like to at least conceptualize it before you pass judgment. The first question, before I get into any tips of, and I'm not going to be giving tips on the University Survival Guide as in this is the best place to be hanging out in a uni, or this is I'm not the person to be talking to about things like that. I'm going to be talking about greater things that are, or at least should be, on your mind. The first question I want to put to you though, because we should begin with an inquisitive approach, is what are you actually doing here? Because if you say, how am I supposed to be surviving this? Or what is the best way to go about these 3 years of my life, or 4 years, or some of you extended studies, 5 years, maybe 7 years, if you're doing a PhD or something as well. These years of my life, how am I supposed to go about optimize them? What are you even doing here? What are you doing here? As in, why are you in university? Rather than me giving you the answers, let's take the answers from you. Come on, give me some answers. Why are you in university? You don't need to give this isn't your university interview, so you don't need to give the whole charade of why I really want to make a difference. I mean, be honest. Why are you here? Why are you here, young man? Piece of paper. Problem solved. You see? If only everybody was straight. Okay, a degree. Okay, what's your name? Ali. Ali, I might just come back to you on that. What else? Tell me. Why are you here? Why are you in university? The experience. It's being honest. It's being honest. It is. Many people go to university for an experience. Why else? Why are you here?
Because I enjoy learning and I wanted to carry on.
Because you enjoy learning and you want to carry on learning. You don't need to be at university to learn. Do you? So why are you at university?
To get an education.
Education. Interesting. It has been said that schooling was but a brief interruption to my education. Do these institutes actually educate us? Do they simply brainwash us? That's a powerful term. But are they imposing narratives onto our psyche? Or are they actually providing an education? Something I want to explore a bit in a moment, maybe. What else? Anybody else saying? Yep.
I'm not actually at university. I'm saying college.
MashaAllah.
What we're told is that you go to university, chances are you can get a better paid job because you're more qualified. I think when sticking with that narrative, most people just think to go to university. Also, my parents are forcing me.
You know, very honest, very real. Zain, if you don't mind me sharing your name, who I know, I actually took this piece of paper out of his hand, which I'll come back to later on. It was to do with objectives, and I want to come back to that. But, right, okay, job, been told we will get a better job. My parents want expectations. My parents want me to come, expectations. There may be some other reason. Anybody want to share something else? Is there something else? Yeah, I mean something. Why not throw in a bit of, no? Any other?
Yeah, the field I wanted to go into, you can only go through it with.
Do share. What is this field that you want to walk through?
I want to go to structural engineering.
Structural engineering.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure what that exactly is, just because of my ignorance, but okay, I appreciate that. So what I'm seeing is there is almost a spectrum. On one hand, there are certain roles which you can only get into through university. Let's say, anybody here doing medicine or anything, anybody doing medicine? Pharmacy, okay. Pharmacy, medicine, structural engineering. Somebody might be doing, I don't know, something, let's say very specialist. Therefore, you need to be at a university to do that. You can't become a doctor without taking a medical degree. You can't, I mean, I don't know, I won't comment on structural engineering. I'm not exactly sure but let's say you can't be a pharmacist without having a degree in pharmacy. Now, the specialist requirements are only a small percentage of all students at universities. So if you take all the universities, and let's say in the UK, all the number of students, most of them are not becoming doctors, most of them are not becoming, let's say, lawyers or becoming pharmacists or dentists. That will be a certain percentage. The vast majority will be taking your regular kind of degree, whether it's history, whether it's philosophy, whether it's languages, whether it's anything, I don't know. But they're studying things which are not necessarily that specialist region. Many of you, there are some who are just forced to come to university, hate it, whatever. In my understanding, most people come to university because they are part of a system. They are on a conveyor belt. You see, they have been given a world view, or I say world, but they've been given a narrative. That means an understanding of how life should be or will be. You're at school, you must do good. You must get GCSEs, otherwise your life will be ruined. You must have been told this. You must have been told this. For your information, I mean, I'm actually a qualified teacher as well, so I've taught in education for years. I do have, I mean, just in case you're thinking, I do have a degree. I have, in fact, more than one degree. Besides a bachelor's, a degree in science as well, in psychology. I have a teaching degree as well from this university, and I have a master's in education. But that's besides my Mufti studies. But I'm being honest with you. In school, I taught in the state sector for years. We had to tell pupils, if you don't get good GCSEs, your life is ruined. You probably all heard this at school. In reality, it's nonsense. I mean, it's not actually true. It may carry some bearing in the sense of it depends what angle you're coming from, but you know that's not true. You say to people, oh, you will live a miserable life, you will be unsuccessful. It's not true. Most of the successful people out there don't have qualifications. If you mean by success, worldly success, most entrepreneurs and, you know, if you're measuring it by money, most people who have a lot of money out there are not actually academics. Am I wrong? That's you can do your own studies. I mean, people who run businesses, that's where the money is. I'm just saying, but we don't say that in school because we're part of a system that has to sustain itself. We're part of an education system where we have to say, look, you must get these GCSEs to go to college. You must. Life will be ruined. Be miserable. In college, they will do the same thing and say, you must do this. You don't get these A levels. You don't get this. You will get into a pathetic university. Or these are the type of things they will say. You'll get it. You'll be lucky to get onto a degree. You might have to do this. So the person is thinking, damn, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. And then they get into uni and the same thing. You're being told, oh, you will get a better job. How many of you, realistically, are here with the aim of getting a better job? Honestly, I mean, how many of you are here doing a degree for the fact that you will earn more money than hopefully the other person, whoever the other is, but the other person in the future? Being honest. Okay, let's put it this way. How many of you are not here for that reason? Okay, we've got some handfuls, but some hands up, but the majority of you, being honest, going with the narrative that you are being told, that you are doing this for getting a better job, for being more stable than the other person. The reality is, now, university life, and I'm using university life as an example because that's what concerns us, is notorious for landing its clients, if you want to call yourself clients or students, in a ridiculous amount of debt. A kind of debt that it will take you most of your life to get out of, or the best part of your life anyway. It's true, am I wrong? An average university student will now leave university. And I finished my degrees a few years ago, and this is just in a few years, look at the change. Will now leave university with, a 30 to 40,000 pound debt? At least I think about 40,000 pound debt?
At least 27.
Right, okay, per year, 9,000 for the fees, and then you must have some for expenses, I take it, about 5,000 for expenses, and then if you multiply that by 3, you're talking anywhere between 30 at least to about 40,000 pound, depending on what they give you, what you take of debt. And I've had a few people tell me that, but it's okay, we'll clear it in 25 or 30 years. You have to excuse the laughter. I've got a crazy sense of humor, but I thought, what drugs are they distributing in universities nowadays? I mean, what's going on? What are you taking? I mean, what do you mean you will clear it in 30 years? A mortgage is 20 to 25 years. So what vision are they? But the thing is, everybody's on it. It doesn't matter because you're part of the narrative. You are inside a system where they tell, no, life, you want a better life, this is the way. You're not questioning it outside of that narrative because you are part of that narrative. You can't think outside. Maybe some of you can, but most of you won't think outside the narrative because you are within it. You are part of it. Then there are other factors. Some of you maybe are not, you're just here for the experience and you just want to have fun. Understandable. Nobody's against having fun. Right, so the reality is, and this is why, and I think this is important with today's talk, is that university or getting this degree with everything that comes with it, the amount of debt, the amount of this, the amount of that, isn't actually the end of or the dream that you've been fed. It isn't. And the reality is, many people out there have got degrees. A degree actually doesn't hardly mean anything in this society. I don't know what they will tell you in university and college it means everything. But in the real world it doesn't mean anything. Okay, maybe it has some weight. I'm not talking about an extremely specialized degree like medicine, which obviously, if you want to become a doctor, you can't become a doctor unless you have a medical degree. But most students are not becoming doctors. So I'm addressing the majority, not the specialized type of minority. The reality is, it's just a false dream. There are countless people out there with degrees unemployed. It's a reality. And now in debt. So the first thing I want to do is, maybe unfortunately, but I want to give you a bit of a shock to wake you up, that this dream is illusory. This reality that you've been fed about, you know, you go through uni, you end up with an awesome job, you're minted, you're raking it with money, you know, it's just pouring money everywhere. Oh, it's as far removed from reality as you can possibly imagine. So you can forget that. Because I'm just being real. Right now, okay, I'm not saying don't do degrees. Alhamdulillah, it's good. But I'm bringing you to the reality of what they actually are. Now with that in mind, now that we have that, how should we and what should we be focusing on during our uni life? See, that was an important concept to get beyond. Because once we understand that wait a minute, this isn't this type of dream that you've been fed. It isn't going to happen like that. Not for the outright absolute majority of people. It never happens like that. So what are we talking about? So now what should we be focusing on whilst we are here? First of all, just as a disclaimer as well, just to kind of clarify it to you guys, and I'm saying this again, I am not discrediting education. I'm not. What I am telling you is sometimes, often, it is exaggerated to be an institutional thing. True education is knowledge. Knowledge has never been captured by the four walls of a confinement. Okay? Information does not always equate to knowledge, just as knowledge does not always equate to wisdom. Do not think that your 3 years in here will render you into some outstanding human being, unless you work on it. So that's what I want to get to. Yes, do your degree now that you're here. Alhamdulillah, I mean, you're here anyway. I mean, those of you that ain't here might be thinking about it now, but those of you that are here, you're here. But focus on other things as well. Focus, first of all, on true knowledge. And I'm linking this knowledge in with the deen as well, right now. This one I'm saying. It is an opportunity. You have a few years where you're just meant to be studying. Learn about the deen. This opportunity will not present itself to you again, not in this manner. It will, inshallah, present itself to you in other forms later on in life, but not the way you have it now. Right now, you are only expected to study. So, study. How many of you are actually doing something like learning Arabic? It's very good to see. Every single person should be studying Arabic. Languages, do you know? I mean, my background is in psychology anyway. I mean, do you know, those of you who don't know this, that those who argue that IQ can be enhanced, there is a debate amongst people whether your IQ is always static or it can be enhanced. Those who argue for it actually believe, and they have their research to show, that learning a language is one way by which a person actually enhances and improves his or her IQ. So it actually makes you a lot more intelligent knowing more languages, especially if you've learnt them, as opposed to just growing up around them. So if you learn a language, it challenges the intellect so powerfully whilst you're having to put syntax together that it actually improves your perception of the world. So learn it if it's not just for religious reasons, learn it for that. You should all be learning Arabic anyway. The message of Islam, the Quran, the word of Allah, is in Arabic. And I don't mean by this, you don't have to be a saint to try to understand the Quran. You don't have to be. You don't have to be somebody who now I'm just going to wear a thobe or a jilbab, or I'm just going to sit in a masjid. And that is me now, in a corner. And that's all I do. I now just do the dhikr of Allah and nothing else in life. You don't need to become a hermit. And you don't need to become a nerd. I once said that there's this misunderstanding that I called it the nerdo-hamitic type of syndrome that we have, that people feel to be a true Muslim, like a proper, you have to either, the true representation of a Muslim, like a proper full practicing Muslim, is either a nerd or a hermit. And none of them are accurate. It's about fun. You said you want to enjoy. It's about enjoying. You can be a regular person. I'm not even questioning how many times you pray. I'm not questioning anything like this. I'm saying, what's wrong with being able to understand the Quran? No harm in it. It is one of the most spoken languages in the world. The almost 30 countries of the world. Even your worldly gain is so much from learning it, from Arabic. That's one thing. Learning a bit more than just Arabic. Learning masail. Masail means matters of the deen. Okay, issues. Learning fiqh, it's sometimes called fiqh. Okay, that means an understanding of the deen. It begins with worship, salah, psalm. There's nothing wrong in learning these things. You'll be incredibly amazed to see how complex the sharia, the deen actually is. I say that in a nice way, complex. I don't mean in a scary way. I mean, wow, it's actually deep. It's not like something superficial, you just, look at this. But I can see, I watched the video clip now, there's, alhamdulillah, you guys are involved in doing certain Islamic things. That is awesome. You guys have a connection with the ulama. I mean, the fact that you're actually here today, somebody's reached out, said, look, let's reach out to some people, let's have some, whatever, let them share their thoughts, their experiences with us, and we'll give our time. It's one of the most precious things you have, time, and you're prepared to give it. So the intentions, the objectives are already there. Okay? We are facing incredibly interesting times in the UK. And I think things will get perhaps more, I don't know whether unfortunately interesting, especially in terms of Islam. Islam has become the center of attention for media. It has become the center of attention for discussion. A lot of people from, parliament to the public, people are all discussing Islam. Unfortunately, many of them in a very negative way. Some people not. They may be objectively discussing Islam. I do personally fear that the polarization between Muslims will unfortunately grow massively. You will start to see a certain number of Muslims that will start to end up on this end and others who are on that end. Not having knowledge of your deen will put you in a very vulnerable position, because you don't know what it could be. Vulnerable for the sake of, I don't know what these people are saying is right or wrong. Right now, today, I mean, let's face it, you just have to put the news on, you have to put the TV on, what's going on in the Middle East. It isn't. Everybody here is aware of it, yeah? ISIS, whether you want to quote them, other groups, what's going on in Africa, Boko Haram, what's going on recently, Europe. In fact, many countries seem to have intensified. Belgium, Greece, It was in the news. The European countries want to work a lot more closely with the Arab countries in combating extremism. There's discussions here about, okay, we want to move away from violent extremism to outlawing just extremism, or what we feel isn't violent but it might be extremist. And so there's discussions of, there is a lot going on, whether we're aware of it or not aware of it. Does it impact us? In some way it definitely impacts us, because we're all Muslim. Even if we're not involved, even if I'm passive, I'm still involved, because the public may have a perception of me because I'm Muslim. I think, oh, you guys are all terrorists, or you guys are all like this, or you guys are all... So even if I don't want to get involved, I'm being dragged into this discussion because I'm Muslim. So they're talking about me, they're talking about everybody who subscribes to the faith. So I've got no choice but to be aware of it. So, okay, what does that mean then? Okay, so we're getting dragged into this discussion. Why is that important? Well, it is important because it means it gives you an opportunity to have a greater understanding of it. Because people are going to drag you into it whether you like it or don't like it. Right now, all this debate about the blasphemy and all of these things, there must be questions. You see, each person here must have some questions. Whether you're asking, I'm not saying you're asking me, but there must be questions going on in your mind. Why is this? What is that? What do you think's going on in the minds of the non-Muslims? Even more questions. So you guys are that younger generation that will become a voice to answer, to kind of respond to these queries. Embracing this reality. This is what I meant about, look, when I said that university isn't everything, the education, just in the sense of the degree. I meant there's a greater reality as well to embrace. I mean, yes, do that. You're doing that anyway. But you're thinking, look, I've also got an opportunity to kind of rekindle this acquaintance with the deen. I can be learning more. I can be learning a language. I can be learning about what are these concepts. I can have an interest. I can learn about history. You know, I speak to some university students and they say to me sometimes, oh, you know what it is? This year I'm busy because I've got these modules. Next year I'll look into learning a bit more about Islam and stuff like this, or I'll learn a bit of Arabic, or I'll learn a bit of fiqh next year. You think, what type of reality are these people living in? What do you mean you're busy? Seriously, overdoing a few modules. You're busy. What do you think awaits you when you leave university? It's not... You might think, okay, I won't be doing modules then. Yeah, you're right, you probably won't be doing modules, but you'll have greater stresses. Oh, I've got to, first of all, how do I get a job? So you've got that running around. Then you get a job, and then you're like, oh, how do I keep this job? Because there's the internal work type of dynamics. Oh no, now I'm getting this, I've got to progress. I've got this to meet up to, I've got that. By that time, you're probably thinking, right, okay, you know, I'd like to get married maybe. You're probably thinking, oh, what do I do now? And then you're thinking, oh, all right, I need a place, and all right, finances. And then you're probably, before you know it, you're thinking about a family, or you're having to cater for a family. And then so you never have a time where everything just stops and says, you know what, don't worry about it. You now learn, this year just learn about the deen. You're not going to have a single worry to kind of preoccupy your mind. That's never going to happen. The time is now. And it's excellent during university time, because all you're meant to be doing is studying. So just manage your studies. It's no big deal. You have to learn, and there is a responsibility on you. I'm telling you, whether you like it or not, you are being dragged into a narrative, into a discussion about the future of Islam in this country and Muslims. Whether you like it or don't like, whether you want to be a part of it or don't want to be a part of it, you are being brought into that discussion. So either you can have a greater understanding. See, Muslims, one is this problem, and then the other problem is Muslims, we've got our own problems, and sometimes these are more intensified in universities. Shockingly, even though this is a place of enlightenment and education and liberation, yet sectarianism is rife. People hating on each other is rife. I mean, I don't know about this university, specifically the ISOC. I mean, it seems, alhamdulillah, you guys have got a pleasant cohort of people here, but I'm just saying, it is not unknown to you. All of you must know what I'm talking about. This person is Dal Mudil, or this person is a Mubtadi to a Mushrik, to a this person is a Khariji, to a this person is... This is going on internally. So not only have we got the other problems that I'm talking about, we've got this going on. Some people, intolerance has been kind of infused and injected into the Muslim communities. It's so unfortunate. Who do you think is going to get rid of this? Do you think it's going to be the 55-year-old uncle that's going to come and say, "Chalo bete, main dekh leta hu. I'll take a look at this. Don't worry, I got this." It's going to be you, the young, up-and-coming Muslim generations. It's true, isn't it? Who else is going to deal with? Who is going to deal with these matters? It's not going to be the first generation. So we're looking at these type of things. And there's a very important point here, and I'd like to actually raise it with you. The point is, we have to learn and embrace that the deen focuses hugely on character and compassion. That is incredibly important. Incredibly. Maybe you won't be surprised, but the level of, like I said, I could say hatred, unfortunately, or animosity that is present, which completely goes against the message, the true message of Islam. You guys have to come to terms, you have to learn, you have to embrace. You probably think, I already embraced that. But you have to learn it, you have to know it. You can't just be like, you can't just be saying, "Oh yeah, I know this," because out there that's not enough. So you go out today and you say, "Look, but we're all Muslims." Some say, "No, what are you talking about? The person said this, therefore they disbelieved." You say, "No, but we're all Muslims." You say, "What do you actually even know? Do you even know one verse of the Quran in its reality? Tell me one verse that you actually know of the Quran. I will sit down and listen to it from you, and you tell me just one verse of the entire Quran that you actually understand, and I'm going to want a complete breakdown of it, to know that you truly understand it, and then we can talk." You won't be able to do it. Most people won't be able to do that. So therefore, automatically the other person will say, "Look, so you don't know what you're talking about. My scholars have told me, alhamdulillah, they do know a verse of the Quran, that no, these people are not Muslims, or these people are not this." So it's not easy enough to just say, "Oh, I embrace this message of love or compassion, I do it." Because out there, it doesn't stand like that. You need to hold your ground. You need to have something to support it. This is why reconnecting is so important. Coming back to what should you be doing? You should be engaged in your studies, but your studies and education should be broader than just your degree. You should be learning about other things. Everybody should be learning the Arabic language. You should be rekindling that passion for the faith. In addition to that, you should be getting involved in not only locally at the university like you are at the ISOC or in other Islamic events, but also involved in a greater awareness of what's going on. Because you are part of that society. You are part of that world. Okay? You should have this greater awareness. One of the greatest things that this awareness should lead to, and hopefully, is a sense of maturity. One problem you guys have, and everybody has had it that's gone through this age, is people won't take you seriously still. They won't, unfortunately, take young people seriously. No matter what they tell you they will, the reality is out there, nobody takes young people seriously. Not until at least you're going to be around 30, nobody's going to really listen to opinions you have to say. That they might listen to them, but they're going to think, "Oh, it's just a kid." So this is your time to develop that maturity. Speak maturely. We need to be vocal, and to be vocal we need to not only have voice, but we need to have words. not that you guys speak like this, but this any and all this type of stuff, this has to be controlled. You speak to some people, they may be educated, but they can't speak. I'm not saying it's you. You guys, I'm very sure, I'm more than confident, I'm very competent, but I'm just saying, okay? This is a problem. People go out there and say, oh, you get a news reporter, what do you have to say about what's going on? But it's like, and the people hate Islam, innit? And what do they hate us for? And you're like, what the hell are you even saying? Like, at least say something properly, like, because everybody, and then that's the one they're going to choose and blast all over the, they can't even bloody, Birmingham's already all Muslims. Fox News facts. So now that the national language of the state of Birmingham has become something else. So do you understand what I'm saying? So having that maturity, developing your thoughts, dabbling into stuff like, I would say dabble into other greater philosophies as well. It matures your thought process. But you have to be a bit wary. Do have a reasonable foundation before you do stuff like that sometimes, because it can become a bit confusing. But these are the important things. That maturity can then help you push this message, a truer message of your faith. One of compassion, one of good character, and one of true objectives. So these are some of what I would say, they're not so much, like I said, it's not about how you survive university in the sense of where do I hang out, what's the best classes to go to. I haven't got a clue where you hang out or what you do. To me, it doesn't really bother me, it's your life. These things are important. You need to first of all fizzle out of this illusory sense of reality into understanding this, you need to wake up. This degree is not everything. It's good, it's part of your education, make your education broader. Very important, that point is. I cannot understate that point. And the reason I picked this up from one of our guests here, I was intrigued that as a young person he'd put together some concepts and ideas and some plans of where he'd like to be in the future. And there were things like, I'd like to improve my Islamic knowledge in this, I'd like to get involved in the community, this sense of activism, I'd like to hopefully be involved in maybe authoring a book on something, I'd like to be, it was for a young person to be thinking like this. And I will like to end on one note, and that is, look, in universities, and this isn't just in universities, but like for anybody who engages in studies, you have this fear, and many of you said you're here for work, for a better job. You have this fear that what will happen when I leave? Where will I get a job from? Where will my money come from? How will I cover this? I'd like to, in relation to that, tell you that, look, Allah, as He teaches us that Allah yarzuqu man yasha, that Allah feeds and provides whom He wills and how He wills. وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا. That there is not a creature on earth except that Allah has already provided for it. Allah teaches us that the shaitan ya'idukum al-faqr, that the shaitan will frighten you, intimidate you with the thoughts of poverty. Don't be misled into they are daunting thoughts. Everybody that's been through studies has had them. What will I do? Where will I get money from? It will come to you. You have to leave some things to Allah. In the sense, Allah is in control of everything, but you have to leave this. I understand we're trying to plan for everything, but don't let these thoughts intimidate you. Okay, as Muslims, we have a firm belief in the concept of rizq, that what is written shall come. And I say that importantly because I see people changing the entire direction of their lives at times, just out of this type of, oh no, like maybe I can get a bit more money here, I can get a bit, and you try to tell people that sometimes, look, and this, you could speak to people that Allah provides people from where they least expect it. And there's a very interesting, there's a narration once, they say that Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam had asked Allah about rizq, and he told him to strike a rock with his staff, and when he did, it kind of split open, and in it, they say there was like almost like a small ant or something there was a little, some type of a leaf growing within, and he was eating off that. That to show that Allah provides for all of His creatures. What do you think about ashraful makhluq? Like human beings. So do not let this fear derail you. Okay? أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. جزاكم الله خير for listening to this to this rant or these rambles. But I don't know what the thing is. I don't know if you've got questions or if we're allowed to take questions because of time restraints. I don't think.
Yeah, we have time restraints.
Yeah, I think there's another group waiting outside.
Okay, so I mean, Jazakumullahu khair once again.